Have you ever wondered how you can tell when love is real? When it's not just a fleeting desire or a shallow attraction, but something so deep that it changes the way a man thinks, acts, and sacrifices? Real love reveals itself not in the easy moments, but in the choices made when no one is watching, when comfort has to be traded for effort, and when the heart leads a man to do things he would never do for anyone else. This is where truth shows itself. Because when a man truly loves a woman, his entire world shifts. His priorities, his energy, his time, and even his dreams begin to orbit around her. And in those quiet, unseen moments, that's where his love speaks loudest. The truth is, men are not always taught to show emotions openly. They're taught to be strong, unshaken, to guard their feelings. But when a man is deeply in love, those walls begin to break down. He starts to reveal parts of himself he hides from the rest of the world. Vulnerability becomes possible, and that vulnerability is one of the greatest signs of devotion. It's not weakness, it's strength wrapped in trust. To show your soul to another person, to say, this is who I really am, and I trust you with it, that's something only done for the woman who holds his heart. Think about it. How rare is it for someone to let you see their fears, their doubts, their past scars? Yet, love has a way of melting away fear and replacing it with the courage to be real. A man in love is no longer concerned with keeping up appearances. He's more concerned with building a bond that lasts. And that bond is forged in honesty, openness, and a willingness to be seen completely. It's an act of surrender, but also an act of power, because it creates intimacy that can't be faked. And why does this matter to you listening right now? Because you deserve to know when love is genuine. You deserve to understand the difference between words that sound sweet and actions that prove devotion. You deserve to feel the certainty that the man beside you is not just passing through your life, but is investing his heart, his future, and his very identity into the love you share. That clarity brings peace, and peace is priceless. It gives you the confidence to open your own heart without fear of being misled. Stay with this message, because as we continue, you'll see that the things a man does only for the woman he truly loves are not ordinary gestures. They are extraordinary, often subtle, yet life-changing actions. They go beyond flowers and promises, beyond the superficial signs people often mistake for love. They reveal something deeper, a commitment that stands the test of time, challenges, and temptations. And when you recognize these signs, you gain the power to cherish them, to protect them, and to nurture a love that others may only dream of finding. So if you've ever questioned whether love is real, if you've ever felt the uncertainty of not knowing where you stand, let this be your guide. Because by the end, you won't just understand the actions of a man in love. You'll understand the language of devotion itself. And once you learn that language, you'll never settle for less again. When a man truly loves, one of the first transformations you'll notice is how his priorities begin to shift. Suddenly, his world is no longer only about him, his comfort, his schedule, his ambitions. The woman he loves becomes a part of his every decision, not because he has to, but because he wants to. His sense of responsibility grows, and he begins to see her happiness as inseparable from his own. This doesn't mean he loses himself, but rather he expands himself. Love makes him think bigger, dream wider, and consider more than just his own path. It awakens the protector, the provider, the partner within him, and he starts to move through life with a new kind of purpose. This shift is subtle but powerful. He may not announce it, but you can feel it in the way he checks in, the way he listens, the way he makes sacrifices without pointing them out. Psychology tells us that true commitment shows itself in consistent investment of time and effort. When a man loves deeply, he invests not out of obligation, but out of desire. He wants to create stability, to give security, to build a foundation that makes his woman feel safe in a world that often feels uncertain. That kind of devotion isn't built overnight. It grows through small daily choices that stack up into something unshakable. And here's where it becomes life-changing. To know that someone sees your well-being as their own is one of the most empowering feelings you can experience. It's not about money, gifts, or grand gestures. It's about a man showing with his actions that he's willing to carry weight alongside you. He considers your needs, your dreams, your struggles, and he aligns himself with them. This creates a sense of unity where two lives move in rhythm, not competing, not colliding, but complementing one another. That kind of alignment is rare, but when you see it, you'll recognize its power. Think about the strength it takes for someone to adjust their path for another person. That requires maturity, selflessness, and vision. It's a psychological sign of secure love, a love that isn't afraid to commit, to anchor itself, and to take responsibility. A man who truly loves will not run from responsibility. He will embrace it because it means protecting something precious to him. And in that embrace, he discovers a deeper version of himself. He learns patience, resilience, and the true meaning of partnership. The emotional reward here is profound. When you are with someone who prioritizes you, you no longer feel like you're walking through life alone. You no longer doubt whether your voice matters, whether your needs are seen, or whether your heart is heard. You begin to feel valued at a soul deep level, and that feeling fuels your own growth. You become braver, stronger, more confident, because you know someone has your back completely. That is the beauty of real love. It doesn't just change the one who gives it, it transforms the one who receives it. This is why you should keep listening, because the signs of true love are not just gestures. They are signals of a devotion that can withstand storms. They are proof that when love is real, it elevates both people, lifting them higher than they could have ever reached alone. And when you understand these signals, you'll know the difference between fleeting affection and a love that endures. When a man is truly in love, he begins to give something even rarer than his time or his effort. He gives his full attention. In a world filled with constant noise, endless distractions, and demands pulling him in every direction, his focus becomes one of the most valuable gifts he can offer. When he listens, he doesn't just hear words, he absorbs meaning. He notices tone, emotion, and the unspoken feelings behind your sentences. He remembers the little details, the things you didn't think mattered, because to him, they matter deeply. This is not passive listening, it's active devotion. It's the kind of presence that tells you without a single word, you are important. You are seen. You are my priority. Psychologists have long studied the power of deep attention in relationships, and it consistently reveals itself as one of the strongest indicators of love and connection. When a man chooses to give his undivided attention, he's not only showing care, he's creating a safe space where you can feel free to be yourself. That kind of focus dissolves insecurity. It allows you to drop your guard because you know you're being valued for who you are, not just what you give. His attention becomes a mirror that reflects your worth back to you, reminding you that you matter at the deepest level. This is why being truly heard can feel more intimate than any physical gesture. It's easy for someone to be physically present but emotionally absent. But a man who loves will lean in, will put aside his phone, his stress, his ego, and he will give you the gift of presence. In that moment, everything else fades. That choice to prioritize your voice over the noise of the world is a declaration of love stronger than grand speeches. It is action-proving devotion. And here's the truth that often goes unnoticed. When a man gives this kind of attention, he is not just giving. It is also transforming him. Because the more he listens, the more he understands. The more he understands, the more he connects. And connection is what fuels love to grow deeper and stronger over time. This is the cycle of intimacy that separates shallow relationships from unbreakable ones. Listening becomes the root that anchors love, keeping it steady through storms, misunderstandings, and challenges. The emotional reward of being with someone who truly pays attention is priceless. You no longer feel invisible. You no longer wonder if your feelings are too much or if your words are falling on deaf ears. Instead, you feel cherished, respected, and valued. That kind of attention gives you permission to open your heart even wider, to share dreams and fears without hesitation, because you know they will not be ignored. And when two people share this level of presence, love becomes more than emotion. It becomes a sanctuary. This is why so many relationships falter, because attention is often replaced with distraction. But when love is true, attention remains consistent. It is not only given when it's convenient, it's given because it's essential. And when you see a man willing to give this kind of presence, you are witnessing one of the clearest signs of genuine love. It is proof that in his eyes, you are not just part of his life, you are the center of it. Love shows itself not only in attention, but in the willingness to protect. When a man truly loves a woman, he feels an instinctive drive to shield her, not because he sees her as weak, but because he sees her as precious. His protection is not about control or dominance. It's about creating safety. It's about ensuring that she feels secure, both emotionally and physically, in a world that can often feel harsh and unforgiving. This protective instinct is one of the clearest signs of devotion because it requires effort, sacrifice, and vigilance. It requires putting her well-being above his own comfort. Protection comes in many forms. Sometimes it's physical, stepping in when there is danger or discomfort. More often it is emotional, standing as a guard against loneliness, neglect, or disrespect. He defends her reputation when others speak poorly. He supports her dreams when the world tells her they are impossible. He stands by her side when life tests her resilience, refusing to let her fight battles alone. Every act of protection is a declaration, you are safe with me. I will not let you carry this alone. That promise builds trust, and trust is the foundation of unshakable love. Psychologists explain that true intimacy grows when one partner feels secure enough to be vulnerable. When a man provides protection, he creates that space. He allows her to rest her guard, to know that someone is watching out for her, someone is prioritizing her safety and peace. This reduces stress, strengthens emotional connection, and deepens the bond. Love flourishes not in fear, but in safety. And when safety is provided, love has the freedom to expand without limits. But the beauty of this kind of protection is that it is not loud. It doesn't demand recognition or applause. It often happens quietly, in small decisions, in the background where he ensures she feels cared for even when she doesn't notice the effort. It might be in the way he checks to make sure she got home safely, or the way he defends her when she's not around, or the way he takes on extra burdens to ease her stress. These are not gestures for show. They are actions rooted in devotion, invisible threads that weave a shield of love around her life. The emotional reward of experiencing this protection is profound. It brings peace of mind, the kind of peace that allows her to chase her dreams without fear of falling alone. It brings confidence, the kind that comes from knowing someone is watching out for her heart. It brings security, not the kind that cages, but the kind that frees. Because when you know you are protected, you can move boldly, you can love deeply, and you can trust fully. This is why genuine love is rare, because it requires more than words. It requires courage, sacrifice, and consistency. A man who truly loves will not hesitate to step into this role, not because he has to, but because he cannot imagine doing anything less. And when you recognize this, when you feel the depth of a man's protective love, you will understand that it is one of the greatest gifts you can ever receive. It is proof that in his heart you are irreplaceable. A man who truly loves does more than protect. He begins to open up his inner world. For many men, emotions are carefully guarded, hidden behind walls built from years of expectation and conditioning. But love has the power to break through those barriers. When he feels safe with the woman he loves, he lets her see the parts of himself he keeps hidden from everyone else. He shows his fears, his insecurities, his doubts, and his dreams. This act of emotional openness is not easy, but it is one of the clearest signs of authentic love. To reveal vulnerability is to trust, and to trust at this level is to say, without words, I choose you to know me fully. This kind of openness is powerful because it transforms the relationship into something deeper than surface connection. It is no longer about appearances or performance. It becomes about truth. He is no longer playing a role. He is offering his genuine self. Psychologists call this emotional intimacy, and it is one of the strongest predictors of long-term relationship success. Without it, love remains fragile, but with it, love becomes unbreakable. A man who chooses to open up his heart is not just sharing feelings, he is giving a part of his soul. It takes strength to do this because vulnerability can feel risky. What if he is judged? What if his weakness is used against him? What if he is not accepted for who he truly is? These fears run deep, but love provides the courage to face them. When he chooses to open up anyway, it is proof of how much trust and respect he has for the woman beside him. It shows that he sees her not only as a partner, but as a safe haven, someone with whom he can finally lay down his armor. And the reward for this level of openness is immense. When a man reveals his true self, he invites his partner to do the same. The bond becomes stronger because it is built on authenticity, not masks. Each confession, each shared secret, each honest conversation lays another brick in the foundation of trust. Over time, this trust creates a love that feels indestructible. Both partners know they are not loved for their perfection, but for their truth. That kind of love is rare and is worth everything. For the woman who experiences this, the impact is unforgettable. To know that a man has chosen to reveal the hidden parts of himself to you is to know that you hold a place in his life no one else does. It shows you are not just his partner, but his confidant, his anchor, his sanctuary. That knowledge changes the way you see yourself. It affirms your worth, reminding you that love is not about performance. It is about acceptance. And that acceptance gives you the courage to be more open, more trusting, more free in your own heart. When real love inspires this kind of honesty, it becomes transformative. It breaks cycles of fear and teaches both partners that intimacy is not about perfection, but about connection. It is in those unguarded moments when masks are dropped and souls are revealed that love reaches its truest form. And once you felt that kind of closeness, you will never mistake shallow affection for real love again. When a man truly loves, he doesn't just share his emotions, he also shares his dreams. He begins to invite her into his vision for the future, not because he needs approval, but because he cannot imagine building it without her. This is more than casual talk about plans. It is the deep inclusion of another person into the very framework of his life. His goals, his ambitions, his next steps all start to carry her presence within them. Every decision he makes is weighed with the thought of what it means for both of them, not just for himself. This is one of the strongest signs of love because the future is the most sacred space we guard, and to welcome someone into that space is to say, "You are part of my forever." This act of inclusion reflects a psychological truth about commitment. Studies show that when someone integrates their partner into long-term planning, it demonstrates a secure attachment and a strong bond. It means the relationship is not seen as temporary, but as essential. A man who includes a woman in his future is telling her without words, "I see you by my side tomorrow and the day after and the years after that." That unspoken promise brings stability, and stability is what allows love to thrive. The power of this runs deeper than many realize. When a woman hears her man talk about the life they could build together, she is not just hearing plans, she is hearing value. She is hearing proof that she is not an option, but a priority. She is hearing that her presence is not just desired in the moment, but needed in the future. And this creates a profound emotional reward, the security of knowing you are chosen not just today, but every day forward. This doesn't mean the future is always mapped out perfectly. Life is uncertain and plans can change. But what matters most is the intention. When love is real, the intention is constant. The man who loves truly is not afraid to speak about the future because he wants her in it. He wants to share not only successes, but also struggles, not only celebrations, but also challenges. And in this desire, he reveals his deepest truth, that his love is not a passing season, but a lifelong journey. For the woman, this creates space for her own dreams to intertwine with his. It opens the door to collaboration, where both visions can align and grow stronger together. It creates unity, a sense of partnership that fuels motivation and resilience. When two people dream together, they create momentum that is almost unstoppable. Each becomes a source of strength for the other. Each becomes a reason to keep going when life gets hard. That is the power of shared vision. It turns love into legacy. To be included in someone's future is to be honored in the highest way. It is proof that love is not just about what is felt in the moment, but about what is chosen over and over again across time. It is love that dares to look ahead, love that dares to commit, love that refuses to let fear dictate decisions. And once you experience this kind of love, you understand that it is not fragile. It is enduring, resilient, and powerful enough to withstand the tests of life. Love that envisions a future naturally grows into love that makes sacrifices. When a man is deeply in love, he begins to give up certain comforts, habits, or even opportunities, not because he is forced to, but because he chooses to. He does it quietly, often without announcing it, because his greatest reward is not recognition, but the happiness and stability of the woman he loves. This willingness to sacrifice is one of the purest forms of devotion. Shows that his commitment is stronger than his ego, that his love is greater than his own convenience. Sacrifice in love does not always look dramatic. It can be as simple as choosing to spend time with her instead of chasing endless distractions, or as profound as adjusting his life plans to ensure the relationship flourishes. Every sacrifice, big or small, is a declaration that she matters more than temporary comfort. It's not about giving up everything, it's about prioritizing what truly counts. And when love is true, the relationship itself becomes what counts most. Psychology teaches us that sacrifice is a cornerstone of lasting intimacy. Genuine sacrifice activates empathy and reinforces the bond between two people. When a man chooses to give, he is not just removing something from his life, he is creating space for connection. He is saying through his actions, your joy is my joy. Your peace is my peace. What lifts you up lifts me up too. That kind of alignment builds a love that doesn't waver with challenges, because it's not built on self-interest, it's built on devotion. The beauty of sacrifice is that it strengthens both partners. For him, it shapes character, teaching patience, humility, and generosity. For her, it brings reassurance, reminding her that she is cherished and prioritized. She feels valued in a way that words alone can never express. Each act of sacrifice whispers the truth that she is worth the effort, worth the adjustment, worth the change. And that feeling is one of the greatest emotional rewards a woman can ever experience. It is important to see that real sacrifice is never about losing. It's about gaining something greater. A man who loves truly does not feel resentment for what he gives up because he sees what he gains in return: trust, closeness, and the kind of bond that cannot be shaken. He understands that what is temporary can be let go of, but what is eternal must be protected. Love transforms sacrifice from a burden into a privilege. For the woman who receives this love, the impact is profound. She feels secure, knowing she is not just a part of his life when it's convenient, but a part of his life always. She feels honored knowing that she is not an afterthought, but a priority. And she feels inspired to give back, to meet his sacrifices with her own, creating a cycle of mutual devotion that grows stronger with time. That is the true power of sacrifice and love. It creates reciprocity, a shared willingness to give, and together, this giving becomes the lifeblood of a relationship that can withstand anything. To witness sacrifice is to witness love in action. It is the proof that words are not empty, that promises are not fragile, that devotion is not temporary. It is the living evidence that when a man truly loves, nothing is too great to give if it means protecting the bond he treasures most. Sacrifice naturally leads to another powerful truth. A man who truly loves will celebrate her growth as much as his own. Instead of feeling threatened by her success or overshadowed by her strength, he takes pride in seeing her rise. Her victories feel like his victories. Her progress feels like his progress, and her dreams become as important to him as his own. This is not about competition, but about partnership. Love at its highest form is not a cage. It is a platform, a force that lifts both people higher than they could ever climb alone. When a man genuinely loves, he encourages her to stretch beyond her limits. He becomes her greatest supporter, not because it benefits him, but because it brings him joy to see her shine. He pushes her to believe in herself when doubt tries to silence her. He reminds her of her strength when the world tries to diminish her. He celebrates not only the big achievements, but the small steps along the way, because he understands that love is not just about standing by her side. It's about helping her rise. This support is deeply psychological. Studies reveal that relationships where partners actively encourage each other's growth experience stronger intimacy, higher satisfaction, and longer-lasting bonds. Why? Because supporting someone's growth communicates one of the most powerful messages: I believe in you. Belief is fuel for the human spirit. It transforms fear into courage, hesitation into action, and dreams into reality. And when a man gives that belief to the woman he loves, he is giving her wings. The emotional impact of this is profound. To know that someone not only accepts you as you are, but also sees the potential of who you can become is one of the greatest gifts of love. It creates safety, not to remain the same, but to evolve. It removes the fear of being too much or not enough and replaces it with confidence that you are supported no matter where your journey takes you. With that kind of support, limits disappear and possibilities open. And here lies the beauty. When she grows, he grows too. Love that supports growth is reciprocal. Her strength inspires his strength. Her courage fuels his courage. Together, they build a cycle of progress where each person's growth feeds the others. This is what makes love transformative. It doesn't just make two lives comfortable. It makes two lives expansive. It creates momentum that pushes them both beyond mediocrity into greatness. A man who loves truly will never try to dim her light. He will never ask her to shrink so that he can feel tall. Instead, he will place her light at the highest point and marvel at its brilliance. He will know that in her rising, their love rises too. That kind of love is rare, but when it exists, it becomes unstoppable. To feel this kind of encouragement is to feel cherished in the deepest way. It is proof that you are not only loved for who you are, but also for who you are becoming. And that knowledge is powerful. It frees you from fear. It gives you courage to step into your fullest self. And it reminds you that true love is not meant to limit you. It is meant to set you free. When a man truly loves, his patience expands in ways he never thought possible. Love teaches him to slow down, to listen more deeply, and to endure challenges with calm instead of frustration. He begins to see that building something lasting requires time, and he is willing to give that time freely. His patience becomes proof of his devotion, because impatience often stems from selfishness, while patience is born from respect. To wait, to understand, to hold space for her emotions, her struggles, and her growth. That is love in its purest form. This patience shows itself in countless ways. It appears in the way he handles disagreements, choosing not to escalate but to find resolution. It appears in the way he supports her through difficult seasons without pressing for her to get over it or move on before she's ready. It appears in the way he gives her the freedom to evolve at her own pace, never demanding perfection, never rushing her journey. Through his patience, he communicates that her worth is not conditional on how quickly she meets expectations, but that she is valued exactly where she is. From a psychological perspective, patience is a marker of emotional maturity and secure attachment. It demonstrates the ability to regulate one's own impulses for the sake of harmony and connection. When a man loves deeply, he understands that real intimacy cannot be forced. It must unfold naturally, like a flower blooming in its own season. His patience becomes the soil that nurtures the relationship, steady and unwavering, creating a safe environment where love can flourish. The emotional reward of being on the receiving end of this patience is profound. It allows her to feel accepted even in moments of imperfection. It reassures her that she does not have to hide her struggles or rush her healing to remain worthy of love. She learns that her partner is not with her only for the good times, but is willing to walk with her through the messy, uncertain moments as well. That kind of acceptance is healing because it tells her that love is not fragile. It will not collapse under the weight of time or difficulty. Patience also transforms the man himself. By learning to slow down, he discovers deeper levels of empathy and compassion. He learns to see beyond the surface, to understand emotions he might have ignored before, and to connect with the humanity of the woman he loves in ways that make their bond unbreakable. This growth makes him not only a better partner, but also a better man. Love refines him, shapes him, and strengthens him through the very act of waiting. And when two people experience this kind of patience, their connection becomes unshakable. Arguments no longer threaten to break them apart, but instead become opportunities to understand one another more deeply. Difficult seasons no longer feel like reasons to quit, but like challenges they can overcome together. Patience transforms obstacles into stepping stones, turning time into an ally instead of an enemy. To be loved with patience is to be loved with depth. It is to know that your flaws are not deal breakers, that your pace is respected, and that your soul is worth the wait. This kind of love is rare, but it is the love that endures. And when you recognize it, you will understand that patience is not passive. It is one of the most powerful proofs of devotion a man can ever give. Patience naturally evolves into consistency because love that endures is not defined by moments, but by patterns. A man who truly loves proves his devotion not with occasional gestures, but with steady presence. He shows up again and again, not only when it is convenient, but especially when it is not. His words and actions align over time, and this reliability becomes one of the strongest pillars of the relationship. Consistency is love in motion, love that chooses commitment over impulse, stability over chaos, devotion over distraction. Consistency is powerful because it eliminates doubt. Anyone can act loving for a day, a week, or a season, but real love sustains itself through repetition. It is seen in the daily check-ins, the small acts of care, the follow-through on promises made. It is seen in the way he remembers what matters to her, not once, but always. This steady rhythm of devotion communicates something deeper than words ever could. You can trust me. You can count on me. I am here. That kind of reassurance becomes the heartbeat of love. Psychologically, consistency creates security. Our minds are wired to seek predictability in relationships because predictability signals safety. When a man consistently shows up, he reduces anxiety, builds trust, and strengthens the bond. His partner no longer wonders if his feelings will fade, if his actions will shift, or if his promises are fragile. She knows deep within that his love is anchored, and that knowledge gives her freedom, the freedom to relax, to trust, and to love without fear. The emotional reward of this kind of consistency is immeasurable. It allows her to stop questioning her worth because his actions continually affirm it. It allows her to stop fearing abandonment because his presence proves reliability. It allows her to open her heart fully because she no longer worries about it being broken by sudden change. Consistency becomes the environment where intimacy thrives, where love deepens, and where both partners can flourish without the shadow of uncertainty. For the man, this consistency transforms him too. It requires discipline, integrity, and alignment between his heart and his actions. It shapes him into someone who understands that love is not a fleeting feeling but a daily choice. And in making that choice repeatedly, he strengthens his own character. He becomes dependable, trustworthy, and grounded. Love matures him into the kind of man who not only feels deeply but also lives out those feelings with unwavering devotion. Together, consistency creates stability. Arguments are less destructive because the foundation is secure. Challenges are less threatening because both know the bond will hold. Distance or hardship cannot easily erode the connection because it is fortified by repetition. Love becomes less about highs and lows and more about a steady flame that never goes out. That flame, nurtured daily, grows brighter over time, illuminating everything it touches. To be loved with consistency is to be loved with truth. It is to experience devotion that does not waver with moods, seasons, or circumstances. It is to be able to rest, knowing that love is not a question mark, but a promise lived out day after day. And once you recognize the power of this steady devotion, you will understand that real love is not about intensity alone. It is about reliability, the quiet force that turns fleeting attraction into a bond that lasts a lifetime. Consistency naturally deepens into loyalty because a man who truly loves does not waver in his devotion. Loyalty is not just about being physically present. It is about aligning his heart, his choices, and his actions with the bond he is committed to. It is the quiet refusal to be swayed by temptation, distraction, or doubt. Loyalty is the invisible shield that protects the relationship from betrayal, and it is one of the clearest signs that love is authentic. When a man is loyal, he makes a decision every day to honor the woman he loves, not because anyone is watching, but because his integrity demands it. Loyalty is powerful because it gives love unshakable strength. It assures her that she does not have to compete for his attention, that she does not need to question his commitment, and that she is not one option among many. She is the only choice. This sense of exclusivity is not about possession. It is about devotion. He is not loyal because he feels trapped, but because his heart knows where it belongs. His loyalty is his way of saying, no matter what the world offers, nothing compares to what we have. Psychologists describe loyalty as one of the strongest indicators of relational stability. It creates security, reduces fear, and builds an environment where trust can flourish. A loyal man removes uncertainty from the equation, and that certainty frees his partner from the anxiety of betrayal. When she knows that his words and actions align even when she is not around, her heart rests. She no longer carries the weight of suspicion, and in that freedom, intimacy grows deeper. The emotional reward of loyalty is profound. It creates peace of mind, a kind of peace that cannot be bought or faked. It allows her to give her heart fully without fear of it being mishandled. It gives her the courage to trust completely, to love openly, and to invest deeply in the relationship. Loyalty transforms love from something fragile into something indestructible because it assures both partners that no matter the storm, the bond will hold. For the man, Loyalty is not a burden, it is a source of pride. It shapes him into someone reliable and honorable, someone who knows that love is not about chasing novelty, but about cherishing what is rare. Loyalty makes him stronger because it demands discipline and integrity. It requires him to choose commitment over impulse, respect over temptation, and devotion over selfishness. Each time he makes that choice, he reinforces his own character and solidifies the foundation of the relationship. Together, loyalty becomes the silent language that both partners understand. It does not need constant explanation or defense because it is proven through action. It shows itself in the way he speaks about her when she is not present, in the way he protects the sanctity of their bond, in the way he refuses to let outside forces weaken what they have built. Loyalty is not loud, but it is unshakable. To be loved with loyalty is to be loved with purity. It is to know that your heart is safe in the hands of someone who values it above all else. It is to rest in the assurance that love is not temporary but eternal. And when you experience this kind of loyalty, you realize that it is one of the greatest treasures a man can offer, the living proof that true love is not only possible, but lasting. Loyalty creates safety, and within that safety, another powerful trait begins to emerge: protection. A man who truly loves does not only remain loyal in heart, but also becomes a shield for the one he cherishes. This protection is not about control or dominance. It is about care, responsibility, and unwavering instinct to guard her well-being. He looks at her and sees someone worth defending, someone whose peace matters more than his own comfort, someone whose safety is his silent promise. When a man protects the woman he loves, he communicates that her life, her heart, and her dreams are not things he takes lightly. Protection is one of the deepest expressions of masculine love. It is rooted in biology and reinforced by psychology. Humans are wired to seek security in relationships, and when a man provides that sense of protection, he fulfills one of the most primal needs of love. This does not always mean physical defense. It can mean protecting her from emotional harm, from disrespect, from unnecessary burdens, from anything that threatens her peace. He becomes a wall against negativity, a voice that speaks up when she is silenced, a presence that stands firm when life tries to push her down. The beauty of true protection is that it is selfless. It is not about controlling her life or limiting her freedom. It is about expanding her sense of safety so she can live more fully. When she knows he will step forward when challenges arise, she is free to step into her own strength with confidence. His protection does not weaken her. It empowers her. It tells her, "You are never alone in this. I will carry part of the weight so you can stand taller." The emotional reward of being protected in love is profound. It allows her to breathe deeply, knowing she has someone who will guard her heart as carefully as his own. It allows her to dream bigger, knowing he will shield those dreams from the voices of doubt. It allows her to love more freely, knowing she will not have to constantly defend her worth. Protection creates a safe space where vulnerability becomes possible. And in that vulnerability, intimacy deepens. For the man, the act of protecting is equally transformative. It awakens his strength, but in a tender way. It gives his power a purpose beyond himself. He is no longer strong for the sake of strength alone. He is strong to provide comfort, stability, and safety to the one he loves. This balance of strength and gentleness refines his character and gives his masculinity a deeper, more meaningful expression. Together, this sense of protection builds an unshakable bond. She feels secure in his presence and he feels proud to be her guardian. It creates a cycle of trust and devotion where love grows not from fear or obligation, but from a mutual understanding that both are safer, stronger, and more complete together. To be loved with protection is to be wrapped in assurance. It is to know that when the world feels harsh, there is one person who will never let it break you. It is to walk through life with courage because you know someone stands beside you, ready to shield you from harm. And once you feel that kind of protection, you realize it is one of the clearest signs that love is real, rare, and unshakable. Protection does more than shield. It opens the door to sacrifice. A man who truly loves is willing to give up his comfort, his pride, and sometimes even his own desires for the sake of the woman he cherishes. Sacrifice is not about losing himself. It is about choosing her well-being, her happiness, and her future as deeply valuable. It is a declaration that her needs are not secondary, but equal, and often he puts them above his own. When a man sacrifices, he silently communicates, "Your peace matters more to me than my convenience. Your joy is worth more than my ease. Your future is worth any price I can pay." Sacrifice is one of the purest forms of love because it is action over words. Anyone can speak about devotion, but only those who are deeply committed will willingly give something up to prove it. Psychology teaches us that real attachment is measured not by what people say, but by what they are willing to endure for each other. When a man chooses sacrifice, he shifts from self-centered living to shared living, and in that choice, he shows that his love is not shallow but profound. The beauty of sacrifice is that it is not forced. It flows naturally from love. He does not see it as a burden, but as an honor. He finds joy in the thought that she benefits from his effort, that her path is made lighter by his willingness to carry the weight. Sometimes sacrifice is small, like giving up time or preferences. Sometimes it is larger, like altering plans, dreams, or ambitions for the sake of the relationship. But whether small or great, the meaning is always the same. She matters enough for him to put her first. The emotional impact of sacrifice is transformative. For her, it builds a deep sense of value because she knows she is treasured. She understands she is not just present in his life, but central to it. Each sacrifice tells her that her worth is beyond question, that she does not need to earn love because it is freely given through action. It dissolves insecurity and nurtures gratitude, drawing her closer to him with respect and devotion. For the man, sacrifice deepens his character. It requires humility, strength, and maturity. It demands that he overcome selfishness and embrace responsibility. Each time he sacrifices, he strengthens his discipline and redefines his understanding of love. He realizes that happiness is not found in clinging to comfort, but in creating it for someone else. His love becomes less about what he gains and more about what he gives, and this shift elevates him to a higher standard of manhood. Together, sacrifice weaves a bond that is nearly unbreakable. It creates balance because love is no longer about keeping score, but about serving one another selflessly. It creates resilience because when both partners sacrifice, no challenge can tear them apart. Sacrifice transforms love from fragile affection into a fortress because both know they would give up much to preserve what they share. To be loved with sacrifice is to be loved with depth. It is to know that someone is willing to set aside comfort, ego, and ease for the sake of your heart. It is to feel chosen, not just once, but every day through actions that carry weight. And when you experience this kind of love, you realize it's not about loss. It's about gaining a bond so rare, so strong, and so enduring that no sacrifice ever feels too great. Sacrifice naturally gives rise to respect because love without respect cannot last. A man who truly loves a woman honors her not just with affection, but with the deepest recognition of her worth. Respect is more than politeness or surface gestures. It is the constant awareness that she is a person of value, deserving of dignity, honesty, and care. He does not belittle her, dismiss her voice, or take her presence for granted. Instead, he listens when she speaks. He considers her feelings when he makes decisions, and he treats her dreams with the same seriousness as his own. Respect is the soil in which love takes root and grows strong. Respect is powerful because it touches every aspect of the relationship. It shapes how he speaks to her, how he acts toward her, and how he represents her when she is not present. True respect is not conditional. It does not fade during conflict or vanish under stress. It stays steady even when emotions are tested because it is built on recognition, not convenience. When a man respects his partner, he does not use harsh words to wound her, nor does he let pride blind him to her needs. Instead, he protects her dignity as carefully as he protects her heart. Psychologically, respect is one of the deepest human needs. Research shows that people thrive in relationships where their voice is heard, their individuality is honored, and their worth is acknowledged. Respect communicates that love is not about control, but about partnership. It tells her, you are not beneath me. You are not beside me as an afterthought. You are equal, vital, and irreplaceable. This creates balance in the relationship where both can grow without one being diminished. The emotional reward of being respected is profound. It gives her confidence to speak openly without fear of judgment. It allows her to stand in her truth without shrinking. It reassures her that she is loved not just for what she gives, but for who she is. Respect creates an atmosphere of freedom because she knows she will not be silenced or undervalued. And in that freedom, intimacy blossoms because love can only flourish where both partners feel safe to be fully themselves. For the man, respect refines his character. It demands humility, self-control, and awareness. It requires him to see beyond his own perspective and embrace hers with equal importance. Each time he chooses respect over ego, he grows stronger, more grounded, and more honorable. Respect lifts his love from selfish desire to genuine devotion because it forces him to honor not just what she means to him, but who she is in her own right. Together, respect builds a partnership that feels unshakable. Conflicts become less destructive because they are navigated with care instead of cruelty. Decisions become more unified because both voices are heard and valued. Love becomes less about dominance or submission and more about unity and strength. Respect transforms passion into stability and affection into admiration, creating a bond that lasts. To be loved with respect is to be seen fully and valued deeply. It is to know that your heart, your mind, and your spirit are honored, not diminished. It is to feel safe, cherished, and equal in a world where many fail to give such dignity. And once you experience love wrapped in respect, you realize it is one of the purest proofs that devotion is real because respect is the foundation that holds every other act of love together.